I've been getting a bunch of messages lately coming from Deontay Wilder fans. And they've been telling me that, Rick, you're blaming the wrong guy. You're blaming the wrong guy. It's not Deontay Wilder's fault. No. It's not his fault. You got to put the blame on Fury, because Fury is the one who chose not to take this rematch. Fury is the one who chose to, take this little tune-up fight, or whatever you want to call it, before taking the Deontay Wilder rematch. And you know what? You're absolutely right. You Deontay Wilder fans telling me this, you're absolutely right. It is Fury's fault. It is his fault. Because this fight would have happened next had Fury not done that. Right? Had Fury accepted this fight with Deontay Wilder, the rematch, right? So you're right, how absurd. I'm making a video defending Deontay Wilder. But it's the truth. I can't really blame Wilder in this case. It's all down to Fury. He's the reason this fight's not taking place next. He's the reason that, Deontay Wilder most likely is going to be facing a bum. Okay? A bum. Right? Why'd I say a bum? Because Wilder has a thing where if somebody pulls out on a fight that he's, trying to get or supposedly going to have next, if something happens and that fight doesn't get made, doesn't, pop off, what tends to happen with Wilder is he tends to get an opponent that is very, way less of a threat than the guy he was supposed to fight. Like, he just gets a lesser opponent. A guy that Wilder's going to be hands down. It's not a competitive fight. That's an easy fight. Right? He's done this several times. So, once again, Wilder's in a position where, guess what? He's not going to have the Fury rematch. So, now, this gives Wilder and his team the excuse to go and pick and choose a weak level opponent. Right? And then, when they fight their opponent as like a voluntary, right? And then when they fight their opponent, they could just say, well, listen, we were trying to get the Fury fight. We were trying to get the Fury fight, but, Fury didn't want it. He pulled out in the last second. We were negotiating. It was going to happen. He decides to join ESPN. We were waiting on the purse bid. We were going to make the fight happen. Whose fault is it that this fight didn't pop off? Tyson Fury. He joins ESPN, and then he decides not to take the fight, right? So they could use that excuse. His fans could use that excuse. His fans could come on here and be like, listen, Deontay Wilder's only fighting this guy that he's fighting right now because he was supposed to fight Fury in May, and Fury pulled out. He signed to ESPN, all this bullshit, right? So you can't blame. So you know what, Wilder, and at the time, all the other legit or top heavyweights had fights. Joshua had a fight with Miller. Tyson Fury was already out the picture. Luis Ortiz had a fight with Christian Hammer. All these opposed boogeymans had fights. So who was Wilder supposed to fight? That's what they're going to say. Who was Wilder supposed to fight? He had to choose this guy. And there's nothing we could really say, right? Unless I see a fighter who I think is a legit dude call him out. And then Wilder doesn't take that fight, then I'll say he's ducking him. But realistically, I guess there's really nothing I could say if he fights a bum. But I'm actually going to make a separate video looking at the dudes he could fight. Because I do have some guys in mind that I believe he should fight, since this fight is not going to be taking place with him and Fury. There will be a good replacement, in my opinion. Okay? Hopefully he chooses one of these guys, because, again, I don't want to see, I don't want to hear in 2 weeks, breaking news, Deontay Wilder versus Shangguan King, a guy I never heard of, May 13th. Because shit like that happens out of nowhere. Fights get announced, and Wilder fight, against guys. And watch, I'll tell you this: if Wilder faces a guy that me, you, your mama, no one ever heard of, right? Next, I guarantee you he's going to magically appear in the top 15 rankings. Because what the WBC tends to do is, when he's in a situation like this where the fight doesn't get made, the original fight, they'll take a guy like ranked top 50 at heavyweight, and they'll throw him in the top 15 at the WBC rankings out of nowhere. They'll just throw him in there to make it seem like he worked his way and earned his way and fought his way to the top 15 WBC rankings. But he really didn't. He was just put there by the WBC themselves. And then Wilder and his team pick him, you know. But they do that so that people could look at that and be like, oh, look, he was the top 15 heavyweight in the top 15 heavyweight rankings. He wasn't a bum. But realistically, he was top 50. So, don't be surprised if that shit happens. I'm going to make a separate video talking about Deontay Wilder's potential opponents. So, hopefully you guys stay tuned for that. And it is Fury's fault, man. Fury, you know that Deontay Wilder is a guy that fights bums, right? You're giving him an excuse to fight an easy opponent next. He was supposed to fight you. Now we're back to square zero. We're back. I can't even talk. Let's see what happens with Deontay Wilder next, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and I'm out.